All right, folks, welcome to another War of Rights Eye in the Sky perspective here. We are on the iconic Dunker Church map. So, if you don't know it, that is it. I understand that the criticism for covering this one isn't an automatic Union W. Well, I guess we'll see. I just watched the Westwoods end, and the Union got a victory, is fairly comfortable. In taking a quick peek at who was officering, I'm certain that's not a word. If we only go by levels, I'll try to keep the officers open so we can at least hear what the officers are saying, and hopefully it's a little bit better than some. It looks like the experience advantage, at least, goes to the Union, and that kind of looks like how the last one ended. The right side push is a fairly normal one, though it looks like the bigger push is going to the left. So if you don't know this one, we have a small contingent here that's heading down, and I think they've made it already to the completely unopposed to the T-junction. So this might be a very quick video, but let's take a look at the bigger contest because that's a little bit more interesting. So far, I've only found 2 flags. Let's see. So this is Fly's group. Yeah. Okay, that other one was already in. I guess the other Union group kind of went in as a second wave there on the right. But the CSA came out with an aggressive push behind what I'll just term the mound. If you've been to the Antietam battlefield, it is still there, still very much a mound, although there is a, I think it's that is a gorgeous flag. Hold on. That is a great flag. I did not see that thing spawn in. Anyways, yeah, I think it's the Maryland Monument that's on it now, but the mound is a feature here that can be used for either side, but I am aware of the criticism that, oh, you know, the CSA has no chance, but that makes it all the more sweeter if the CSA actually can eke out a victory defending on Dunker. I think that can be a challenge. I don't think that's a particularly fruitful charge, but let's give it its full due. Yeah, countercharging into that, you could. It'll probably end pretty soon. Union's got a skirm line here. So we have 3 flags over here. Maybe that flag pulled out. But we have 2 here that are spawning. Man, I don't know. Is it just Dunker Church where the flags are particularly fantastic looking? Maybe we're spoiled. And we have the CSA. Well, we have part of that CSA company countercharging. They are going to get Last Samurai here. Okay, so I'm sure there will be a reset, and we'll get some more action over there. I did not take a look at Artie up until now. So in Artie, it's enough to run 3 guns. Hopefully for the CSA, they don't have so many on Artie that it deprives their ability to defend the line. I think we had around 260. Wow. Wow. So we had about 260 at the end of Westwoods. And it's 106 to, yeah, so it looks like folks are just falling off of the CSA here. I don't know if that was because of the officer difference or not, but we'll stay on a little longer. If the server doesn't fill, I'll probably cut the video short and you'll never have to hear from it, because I really don't like casting games where we don't have a relatively full server. But while the Union tries to figure out what they're going to do now that they've won the right side, we'll take a look at Union Battery number 1. We have those 2 doing the Lord's work. These folks, excuse me, no need to move them when you can just shoot them, and I certainly get that. So quite a few in Union already in that battery, and yeah, it's kind of like Field of Dreams to some sense, right? If you provide the guns, people will play Artie even when they don't normally play Artie, and if you just don't give them enough guns, then they'll just go in the line. Man, that is just a beautiful looking flag. If only I could get an unadulterated view where it just stops moving. I don't...
Far. Fall back.
So we have some peekaboo action here. That looked high unless they were aiming for a tree to get a bounce off the tree. The Union is doing what the Union can do on this map, which is once you get to that edge and you're sure it's secure, you can then begin pushing into the woods behind the church and look for pockets of CSA to gobble up and skirmishing and out of line. Back here, so we got 2 officers,
Boys, we got cover.
2 flags.
Use it.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to push them out though, shooting at a distance. You can try to stand them off and you can hold them back, or at least hold them up. No, you can't. Well, if you don't know that this is here, and you're focused on the other group, these guys are getting nice enfilade fire into both those flags. These guys have the right idea. If you want to make it a hot shootout, and the attackers generally do, close range. Oh. We'll see how far that group is pulling out, but there's always the risk, if you're with Brit's group there, and this group has abandoned you, that you can then get gobbled up, possibly by a second group like that coming out. But looks like for right now, the flags have pretty much squared off. And of course, once you know it, I missed what happened out here, but these look like the 2 flags that were out behind the mound. They look like they thought better of that. And then the 2 Union groups here split up, 1 in front and 1 to the side. We'll see how that goes. Long term, it seems like an okay idea for the Union. If they get behind there and they start working their way into the CSA who are coming from spawn, because they don't spawn on their flag, that can eat up a lot of CSA tickets. They can also get back into the arty and make up their tickets there. This is not a good firefight for the CSA. They just have more pointing at them than they have pointing back. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, CSA is down already at 35 minutes, so the Union did waste no time getting in here, so it's to their credit. And uh-oh. That is now 3 flags operating against Brit's group out here. And I know that they do have friendlies. They had friendlies. I still hear them. They're there. So they do have a friendly group back here. Alright, and now they're grouping up. Alright, the server's rebuilt itself a little bit. And it looks like that group that was behind has now emerged. No, this is the group that was out in the mound, and they just pushed through that smaller group that was up here. This is probably the view I prefer. It's just, I don't have to move the camera as much and kind of see what's going on. But when the groups work themselves into the forest, we do want to follow that a bit. So I guess we still have an open question as to where that 4th Union group, this is it right here. They do need to get that flag up. Oh, they've been whittled down here. But who knows what damage they did on the way in to take those casualties. That's some sharp shooting there from the CSA. And That might have been a time where you want to finish that kill, yeah. Alright, we're not going to worry about 1v1s. It's not Shiv 2.
Okay, Jenny. I'm so ready.
Alright. And here we have the CSA. It looks like acting in concert, right? 3, 4, all 4 flags here in this vicinity, and it's always too early to call it, but I'll make myself look more like a fool, and I'll say that if it more or less continues as it's going, the CSA's only path to victory will be cap recap. They're flooding into the church. You don't really want to make that your Alamo. I mean, nobody really wants to be in the Alamo. But yeah, the Union daring the CSA to come out, pay some tickets to get rid of theirs. Maybe the CSA is trying to build up strength before they make that push, but it's definitely a position you can make the CSA pay to get into. And this looks like, excuse me, yet again, this is a Union flag down. The CSA group's still pretty healthy. So trying to count flags here. We have 1 up, we have 1 down. We had Fly's group that was over here before, and I think it's right there. So the Union are down at least 2 flags, and the 2 that are up are separated. This is not what you want on Dunkers. And that may be the wisest course. I don't know if 41st knows. Don't do that. Don't go for it. They're gonna play Grand Theft Artillery. Yep. Yep. So the Union is gonna burn some time rather than some tickets. Regrouping, they can do it, right? By my standard, at least, you'd want to have the CSA engaged in 4 minutes. And the fact that they're more than halfway through engaged, 4 minutes before that, means that the ticket burn rate has been excellent for the attackers, and the relative advantage is also there for them. They're up by more than a half morale stage. So the Union looking good. About 12 minutes into me covering this round. All right, 226. We're getting there. The server keeps rebuilding. So this was good. Union got their flag back. And again, if you're watching at home, for like the 2 people that might watch us, oh well, that's the Union going down to engaged. If you down the enemy flag, to finish that scattered thought, if you down the enemy flag, particularly when you are the defender and they're the attacker, and they've lost it a long way away, and it's generally in friendly territory, detach a small but trustworthy group to guard that flag. It is so powerful. I mean, whether it's a 225-man server, 350 server, if you take one of their flags out of action, that entire company is more or less combat ineffective. And it then allows you to be up +1 flag. Then you should really kick it into high gear and start 2v1ing. Presumably it's 4 flags versus 3. And then you should start picking off the attackers' flags, knocking them down 1 by 1. And while they will eventually respawn, if folks are detached to cover those, it can force the attackers to invest a lot of people, quite a bit of time and tickets in recovering those flags. And if 1, maybe 2 is always down, it makes it tremendously difficult for the attackers to coordinate. The way you might deal with that, if you're on the receiving end of that treatment, is that you company hop to a company that actually has a flag when you die. And as long as the company size isn't one of those that's limited, say with sharps, then it shouldn't be a problem in most cases. Yeah. So I'll say that unless who knows what happens, right? Unless Zeus starts chucking thunderbolts at the Union, CSA's only path to victory will be cap recap. So
that's their flag. Well, that should have something.
Doesn't look like they intend to do it, but they need to. And right now, there is no reason to be standing out here and shooting. You're barely hitting anybody behind the mound. The Union was in a recovery phase, and they were able to recover more quickly because those flags were down. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. And pull back conserve tickets, even though you might be trying to play cap recap. I'm not sure. Does the CSA have enough to make this work? I mean, you went into the Union. Union did lose their flag, and the CSA still has theirs. Union seemed flat-footed and a little concerned. I think the CSA is going to pull this one out. And so my not-so-pro tip would be to babysit that flag with a group. And you can put a group of skirms, like 3 guys you trust. Just put them in here. Tell them, you know, don't die out of line, but don't let the Union get that flag back for free. Because then the attackers are always attacking under strength. And that really makes it easy as the defender to do the aggressive defense. This is, again, if you want to talk Civil War tactics and stuff that they figured out, the competent Civil War generals, after they'd been in some engagements, they knew that these were not effective ranges to fire in general. I mean, they had to ration their ammo more than you do in War of Rights, where you can respawn. But you don't want to be out there exposing yourself. How many guns were operational? I think at least 6 between the 2 batteries earlier. And so that's just an unnecessary ticket loss. Instead, what you probably want to be doing as the CSA is using the cover and concealment of these woods so the Union doesn't know where you are. Maybe you're going to play up if you've downed a flag or 2, but I think that otherwise, use concealment and cover, especially when the Union's going way out here. You might knock a few tickets down like this, but you are so far behind. Just play it cagey, right? Don't let the Union know. Don't let them just stare at that giant white landmark and know where the CSA is and then be able to move around them or through them at their leisure. All right. I don't know if that was the Union flag that went down way over there. Nope, that one's still down. And I think this is a CSA one that's just temporarily down. Let's see if the Union has a self-appointed or an actual appointed. Well, that's what 3 guys won't stop. But at least you know that's a big investment of troops. Probably to get their own flag back. Excuse me again. But a group that was back in these rocks, or at least a group that was moving to meet them, that had a flag, could challenge them there, and when you don't have a flag to respawn, if you don't make it in on the first attack, you're done. And you gotta spawn main, or you gotta company hop. And again, there's not a whole lot of reason to take this engagement. As the CSA, you don't have to. They're not on cap here. And they have cover. Not a whole lot of concealment, but the Union has cover. You're in the open. And what's probably equally disturbing is when you're standing here shooting it out, Union is already aiming at that white. Yeah, that's right. They're already aiming at that building. And here we got some action. And so you're just dying there. Right, we have Ian, and who are we running into here? Brit. Ian's group and Brit's group, and I don't think Brit's group saw them coming through, and they came all this way for that flag. I think they'll get it out. I don't think the CSA is taking a aggressive enough pursuit angle to cut them off. But that's going to knock this group out of the fight for a moment. CSA has to be careful to not over-pursue. They don't really gain anything by following the Union back that way. You want to, if you really want to cut it off, know where they got to go and get them that way. But you want to make sure you don't take too many guys out of the fight, pushing back a squad that's already beat up.
Where's our friendlies over there?
I want to go take a look at the Union arty that was out here because they were moving a gun up earlier, and this is very aggressive, so very interesting. Some CSA made it all the way back here. I was wondering about these two guns, and let's see if they've taken the angle. So what you can do from that Union battery is you can roll it up even a little bit further. So I guess that clump of rocks is almost your alignment. But when you get it just over here, you can take away the back of the church, right? Which is where they're hiding. You can even, is that fixed or? Well, you can use the caissons almost as the place to hold your shots if you're going to airburst, then just if you don't have the ranges already set. Then you can just walk it in from there, but. Okay, that looks like it's a cold shootout, so we'll keep an eye on it if it gets hotter. We got a Union group over there. We have a Union group there. So that's 1, 2, okay, a third there. And, I mean... Alright, so the CSA is almost in breaking. Looks like the Union just wants to shoot it out with them, and the CSA is going to make it much easier for them to do that by... feeling that they have to contest every little thing. Again, as the defender, particularly defending on Dunker Church, you don't have to contest everything. CSA is breaking, so now cap recap is out of the cards for the defenders, and that's probably going to be all she wrote here.
Amen.
We'll see. It looked like the Union was prepping to go back into those woods. Oh. I don't know how much melee you can see in the woods, but... Which is why I generally don't do Eastwoods, Westwoods, Maryland Heights, that kind of map, but... This is probably going to be pretty productive in getting the CSA closer to last stand if the Union feels they need to do that. All right, we've built up almost to 260, so I don't know that we'll have time for another round tonight, but we actually have, all right, a little bit higher leadership there. Well, in some of them. But it still looks like, in terms of experience, that is a Union advantage, but you know, levels aren't everything, but it does kind of explain the last 2 rounds. Probably Westwoods more than excuse me, my goodness, more than this one where that's fairly Chad. Oh no. Where will they get another one? They don't just pop out of flags every 5 seconds. Huzzah, you guys. Alright. Back to the quick time. Yeah, right shoulder shift for style points. And, play War of Right's enough. It's not so much about winning, it's about how it looks. Hey, we'll have a nice little engagement here. CSA is going to come up on their side. They're going to get it. Union isn't even turning to address it. Very nicely done. I think that was Taser Face. That's some great flag work. Good job by the whole company getting that flag out. We were almost riding on that shell. I wonder who we have. Okay. That's the Union. It's Brits group sweeping. I think some CSA out. I see 2 CSA flags up here. Man. Union's about to go taking losses. CSA is not far from last stand. very gory. But the Union is on the church. I'm not sure about taking the flag all that way up. You don't have to do that. And when you're that close to the church, you never know what's back in those woods. If you can stand out here and in the defilade, you kind of know what's going on. You have a much easier time recovering your flag, and you're already, hopefully, there it goes. They'll be able to see everything. So last stand was 17 minutes.
Take this.
Man, the Union has held the church? Did they? Well, they did. Again, folks, if you have in-game comms, you might want to use them to... You're not really Ramboing when you're in last stand. Or, like, when tickets don't matter, it's not a problem.
Hey, that's who I am, prick. The guy that killed you.
Well... I wonder if his cannon knocking him over saved him. I think Barksdale's going to get the rest of his shots on that pistol. I don't know if that was the concussion from his own cannon knocking him over. It doesn't matter. Man. It is pretty neat that underneath the white layer they have the brick in there. I don't know if I noticed it. I don't know if I noticed that. Anyways, these are things you look at when... you're in last stand. The Union is back to the feature that is known as the nipple here on Bunker Church. And CSA is going to have to remove them because they're on the verge of capping. Well, he got one. And the Union here with 2 flags. Yeah, there's not much you can do as the CSA at this point. There hasn't been for a while. So we take some pictures. Zoom back to Union already, maybe. We saw the results of their work. Oh, now we're missing the last stand here. Union is on cap. It looks like everybody's back up. That's at least 2 flags. And there we go. Yes, an exchange of pleasantries. It is a really beautiful blue and gold flag. And we'll see what happens, whether the Union caps first or whether they kill the CSA through last stand, but it is at the end. That was pretty cool, that last muzzle flash in front of the church. I'd like to be able to see more of the flags. That angle doesn't really showcase them that well. Alright, let's see what the story was here, why the CSA went down so fast. It's a story as confusing and as old as time, I guess. The defenders just more out of lines than the attackers, more skirmishing deaths than the attackers. More deaths than the attackers. Yeah, that's just a rough one. It's got to be the inverse if the CSA has a chance on Dunker, and it probably is going to involve at least one round of cap recap. All right, folks. Maybe we'll get a more competitive one in the next video. I certainly hope so, but I did enjoy watching, and look forward to bringing you more.